You want your life to be easier. You want to get more done. You want to get your way both in business and in your personal life. One of the best ways to do that is to communicate as effectively as possible. Today's question comes from the great and powerful Juliana Torres. She was watching yesterday's video and left a comment. She said, "Hey Matt, can you make a video on how to sound educated? I want to sound educated." Juliana, this video is for you. And if you guys watch this video and you like it, if you find any tips, please smash that like button. Hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm and it would help me out. And if you'd like me to answer any questions that you have, if you want me to make a video just like this for you, just leave it in the comments. I will do my best to get it turned around right away. Well, Juliana, you asked the question yesterday. Here's your answer. You want to sound more educated. You want to sound educated. Let me give you 7 tips right here, right now, that are going to help you do just that so that you can communicate more effectively. Number 1, I need you to work on dropping the filler words, the filler language. This is a lot harder to do than it is to say. These are things like all of those little filler languages. So I used to have a problem with that, saying Here's how I corrected it. I developed what I call the Subway challenge. Now, I personally used Subway restaurants. They didn't pay me to say this. You can figure out your own way if you don't want to do this with Subway. But here's how Subway was so constructive in me learning how to basically never say again. I began to eat at Subway on a regular basis. But here's the challenge. I would make sure that I ordered my sandwich without ever saying or any of those little filler sounds, phrases, or words. And once I could get through the entire process of ordering that sandwich, suddenly I began to realize that those words just stopped coming up. So you've got to make a conscious effort. And not only make an effort, I'd like you to develop your own challenge. Feel free to steal the Subway challenge if you would like, or create your own challenge where you're going to make a conscious effort to not use the filler language, and then you're going to audit yourself. If you need to record yourself, do it. It will help. But tip number 1, make sure you drop that filler language, those filler words, and those filler sounds like It just doesn't make you seem educated at all. Tip number 2, I need you to speak clearly. Now, one of the biggest parts of speaking clearly is to elevate and project your voice. Nothing is going to make you sound less educated than if you're just kind of talking, like this. Perhaps, maybe that's the answer. I need you to speak up, speak clearly, enunciate, and project your voice. That's going to work wonders in the person that is receiving the communication from you being able to hear you, and that's going to allow them to perceive you as being more educated. Tip number 3, I want you to mirror whenever possible, and don't do this in an annoying fashion. When you do this properly, oftentimes in the beginning of the conversation with somebody, it's going to work wonders in making you sound educated. Here's what mirroring is. Just simply repeat back the last 1 to 3 words that the person said, or a selected 1 to 3 words that the person you're communicating with said. So if they say, I'm wondering what the size of the floor plans is, you can say, size of the floor plans? Right? That's going to get them to explain more. Now, I know this may sound counterintuitive, but if you want to sound educated, one of the best ways to do so is to allow that person to talk more. Nobody is smarter than ourselves. I know, it's called the ego, right? Our ego makes us feel like we're the smartest person on earth. So when the person that we're communicating with gives us additional opportunities to speak more and to articulate more and to put more into a statement, we're going to naturally assume that they're smarter. It's a very strange principle, but it works, right? So I want you to make sure that you're giving the person that you're communicating with every opportunity to really explain their point of view. And a great way to do that is to mirror them. Just simply repeat back the last 1 to 3 words that they spoke, or a selected set in the point that they were making, and that will give them the opportunity to add additional color to what they were saying, and they're going to perceive you to be more educated. Tip number 4, I want you to use phrases like, "That's an excellent question. Can you unpack that for me? Help me understand what you're asking there." What I want you to do is develop a high level of clarity with what somebody is asking of you or asking from you before you go ahead and answer. An uneducated person is always going to jump right in. They're going to instantly try and answer the question. When a true expert, a true professional, somebody who's really educated, is going to take their time to make sure they understand what you mean before they give you an answer. So it's perfectly okay for you to say things like, "Unpack that for me. Help me understand a little bit more about what you're asking. Why are you asking that?" Right? Get a deep understanding of the point of view, the question that the person you're communicating with has, and you are going to sound more educated. If for nothing else, you're going to answer the exact question they were asking. So many times we end up giving somebody an answer on a question that we didn't even understand. So we're actually giving them the wrong answer. Make sure you give them an opportunity to deeply explain themselves. All right? Tip number 5. I want you to pause before you answer somebody. Do you see how I did that there? It's amazing. Our brains are really powerful. In a lot of ways, our subconscious is not our friend. We give ourselves 30% less time to respond than we would give somebody else. So what I mean by that is when somebody's finished talking and it's your turn to talk, you're giving yourself 30% less time to think about what you're going to say before you say it than you would give them. We seem to believe that we've got to talk very quickly, and we want to avoid that awkward silence. This is very counterintuitive if you want to sound educated, if you want to be educated. Make sure that you're pausing, you're reflecting, and you are giving yourself enough time to think about your answer before you start to answer. Tip number 6. After you've answered a question or given your opinion on something, give the person that you're talking to an opportunity to let you know that they've understood you and they've received the information that they need. How you do that is after you've given them an answer or given your opinion, make sure you follow that up with a question like, "Does that match what you need?" Or "Does that make sense?" Or "Does that match what you were thinking?" That's a great one because that will give them an opportunity to side with you. And as we mentioned before, nobody's more important, nobody's more intelligent than they are. So give them an opportunity to join forces with you. Does that match what you had in mind? Does that match what you were thinking? So make sure that after you've made your point, after you've answered a question, or after you've given somebody information, you're following it up with, "Does that match what you needed?" Or "Does that match what you had in mind?" And make sure you ask them, "Hey, did I miss anything?" Right? Give them an opportunity. An educated person is always going to be open to the opportunity to provide more information. So simply ask them, "Did I miss anything there? Is there anything else you'd like me to cover?" It's going to make you sound more educated. Tip number 7, and my final tip for sounding more educated: never, ever say, "I don't know." It is the worst thing you could possibly say. Now, at the same token, never ever make up an answer if you don't know the answer. If you don't know an answer, or you don't know something that somebody's asking you for information on, simply say, "Great question," Let me get you the answer. Great question. Let me follow up with you on that. Great question. Let me make sure I understand what you're asking. And then write it down what they're asking of you. It is okay for you not to know everything in the world. Oftentimes we think that, hey, a smart person would have all the answers, so I better give this person an answer. Or we end up just throwing in the towel and saying, I don't know, right? A smart person is going to say, great question, right? A smart person is going to be excited that there's a question they can find an answer to. So make sure you never say, I don't know. And for sure, please, never lie and make up an answer. Just simply say, that's a great question. Let me figure it out for you. That's a great question. Let me get you the answer. Or, that's a great question. Help me understand a little bit more about it, right? Allow that person to unpack. I hope these 7 tips help you. I hope you've subscribed to the channel and hit like. And again, if you've got any questions at all, if you need anything, I'm here to help you. Just simply leave them in the comments below. I'll see you on the next video.